Hello, I am Diego Torres, and today I am with Jeremiah Ysip. Jeremiah is a filmmaker based in the San Francisco Bay Area with over 20 years of experience, having produced Emmy Award-winning documentaries, winning 21 NorCal Emmy Awards. Jeremiah attended San Francisco State University's radio and television broadcasting program. Jeremiah started covering the news in 2003 before branching out into documentaries, commercials, film, and features ranging from sports, food, lifestyle, and social issues. Jeremiah currently works as a media programming specialist with SF TV while also working on his film company with his team, delivering high-quality productions. Welcome, Jeremiah. How are you doing?
What's up, Diego? Thanks for having me, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So I want to start off with talking about SF State. So having graduated in 2005, what have been like the struggles doing something that early in 2005? Like this building didn't even exist yet.
Yeah.
You told me you were in a creative arts building in a really small studio. How was that?
Yeah, so when I was here, I got here in 2001, and or maybe it was 2000. Actually, it was 2001. I think my first day was 9/11. I came here like that same day because I was going to two schools. I was going to DVC in Pleasant Hill, and I was going here. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. So I was like, do I still got to go to school? I'm not sure. It was my first day. So I went. It was 9/11, and we were just watching 9/11 on campus. But so we watched it, and we worked, and we did everything in the old creative buildings office, and it was really that really old, like you have to do, when you do the lights, you have to do the thing with the sandbags. It's crazy, and if you do it wrong, it's gonna fall on you. And then so they're like, yo, if you mess this up, you're gonna kill somebody. And I was like, I don't want to kill anybody, so I ain't touching nothing. We'll make that guy do it. But a lot of our classes were like when we did the stuff on the field. I think that was tough too because we had really old cameras.
Yeah. And
you had to plug into we had to plug into somewhere outside, and it never worked when we had to do those live state of events shows. So yeah,
So was there ever like a lack of resources when it comes to like cameras or like audio?
Yeah,
equipment?
man, there was a lot. There's no tripods. I had to bring my own gear.
Probably.
There's no such thing as DSLRs back in the day. Tapes were expensive, those mini DV tapes. I still had to print out my scripts on floppy disks at the old library, and there was a long line for the library. And at that time, you had to take a library test, which I didn't understand at the time. So it was a different time, 2001.
Yeah, so you guys didn't have anything like the cage we have now. We just go and get a DSLR, 4K camera, tripod.
Think we did, but no one explained to me how to use it.
Okay.
And then when I tried, they're like, no, you can't. You're doing it wrong. So I just use my own stuff then.
Okay.
But
like you didn't want to risk breaking it.
No, but also I didn't like their stuff.
Oh,
the stuff was too old school. It was like I already had like not good equipment, but it was decent for that time. But the stuff at SF State at the time was like, but it's not about the equipment. It's how you use it. Like you could still, like nowadays you could make a great film with like your iPhone, or nowadays like those old school camcorders that I had.
Yeah.
So it's just storytelling and knowing how to use what you learn here at SF State in the Becca department and using in real life.
Yeah, so I assume there's also a lot less job opportunity back then. I remember you telling me, a professor telling you that only like a very small amount of students actually get a job doing broadcasting after you graduate.
Yeah, I was taking a news class. I forgot who the teacher was, but we had a dude from Channel 5. I forgot his name. He's an anchor. And he talks to our class. He's like, yo, I'm gonna be honest with you. There was hundreds of us in class, right? And he was like, there's only gonna be like two or three from this class that gets a job in industry. I was like, damn, I don't know, man. I might have to change my major. And then, so I felt defeated, but I felt like I was gonna do this as a career for a long time. And I was like, well, I'll stick with it. But then, like after that class, when I was walking to the parking garage, I ran into him. What is his name? Ken Bastita, whatever his name is. And I was like, yo, I liked your talk. And I was like, yo, is it true that only 3 of us will get a job? He's like, yeah, man, I'll be honest with you. I was like, all right. He's like, no, but you need to do that, right? I was like, what? He said, you gotta be one of the 3. So
exactly.
Get the job, fool. And I was like, okay, I'll stick with it. And honestly, people from my class, I think there's only 4 of us that actually got jobs in there.
So he was right.
So he was right.
Wow.
But I think it was a different time at that time because I think opportunities is you have to move. I mean, like there's YouTube now, there's all these different small productions. Back then, it's really just a local news.
Yeah, I was gonna say like now you have social media. You can do your own thing with social media now, or work with another company.
Yeah. So.
And
Yeah.
our professor's always telling us about new internships coming up also. So.
Yeah, and internships are very important. 'Cause I've been interning like all the local news stations from like 1998 until I ended up getting a job in 2001. And what that does is it builds your network because you meet people. A lot of the people I intern with, they end up getting jobs in other places like in LA or New York and stuff like that. But you know, when you need a job and you hit them up, you say, hey man, I need a job. Do you know anybody? They might not have a job in their region, but they'll find somebody in your region or maybe even closer. So it's good to intern, and you need that experience because some of these jobs are not going to hire you if you don't have that experience. It's not really a position. It's not really a degree where you graduate and they hire you right away. They want to see what you. I mean, I think that's every. I think that's every. Maybe every major, but for television for sure, they want to know what you did and where you worked at, and other people need to vouch for you.
So what did you do to stand out, like back in college?
What did I do? You just gotta work hard, even if you suck. I sucked for many years, so you just gotta accept that sometimes it's hard. You gotta accept that you're not as good as you think you may be. Let people critique your work. If you have like bosses or mentors, you gotta let them you got to look for mentors and supervisors that's going to be honest with you and tell you what you need to work on, and you got to be coachable. Oftentimes we get people that aren't coachable as interns or maybe as new hires, and they're not coachable, and you just don't want to help them. It's not that you don't want to help them out, but you just say, okay, fine, you're really good. I don't need to help you then, or you're that good. And then they just eventually fall off because word goes around. It's a small community. Small industry.
So moving to the work you do now, I want to ask, when you're on those high level productions that could potentially win an Emmy, are there any do you ever get pressure, or is there any intense is there pressure on set, or is there tension on the set to try to win an award, or is it just pure let's get the job done? And
no, when you're actually going for an award, it's not going to work out because now you're going for an award. But if you're at base, actually all the time you should be telling a really good story that you care about, that will whether one person watches it or 100 people watches it, whoever, whatever the views are, as long as it's up to you. As long as that story made some kind of impact for that subject or that genre or whatever, you felt like you contributed to the overall good of the broadcast world, that you were able to add your talent to this, then it'll get recognized, and you just love what you do, whether people want to award you or not, because that's what you should be doing.
So it's always about the vision and getting that done.
Yeah, you have your story, you have your storyline and how you want to craft things and how you want to tell the story. We had one about this lady, this Filipino lady in LA. She was a slave for 60 years, and the people that enslaved her were this another Filipino family. They took her in as a babysitter for her children, but then they took away her passport. They locked her in the basement for 60 years, took away her food and everything. She was living like she was one of their pets. We found that story, and our goal was to, bring justice for her and put these people in jail and get her story out there as an inspiration to, not inspiration, but stuff like this can't happen again. Yeah. So that was the most important thing to us. So we crafted, how we're going to tell the story so it made sense to people. And eventually it won an award, but we weren't going for the award. We just really wanted to make sure the lady got justice.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So what are the biggest challenges on set usually? Is it time constraints, talent difficulties, technical difficulties, budget constraints?
Budget, you're always going to run into budget constraints, right? There's always trying to cut the budget. But sometimes it could be people. If you don't get the right teammates that are kind of selfish, or they're trying to overstep people's roles. what I've seen is when people overstep different roles, it messes up the production. So if you just stick to your one role, do it really well, and don't piss anyone off, then you're good. And then they'll work with you again, and then maybe they give you a better, maybe they'll have their own project and like, yeah, I want to get Diego as my DP.
All right,
like,
I'll note that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like you want to just be the very best at your role for that job, and then they'll consider you for other stuff. So yeah, that's usually the
And like, despite like all these challenges, like, what motivates you to just keep going and doing more productions?
Because storytelling is always important, you know, depending on like what you want to storytell. So for me, it's always, when I was growing up, there wasn't anything on Filipino Americans, Filipino history, Filipino anything. So when I got a job over at the Filipino channel, I really thought I'd be there for 6 months. But then when I realized that a lot of the stories that I would want to do, I'd want to do it for the community because they didn't really have a voice at that time. Now there's, you know, everyone's a voice for the different communities, but at that particular time, it wasn't. So I still do it because I still want to be able to contribute to like the community, and then I have like a daytime job.
Great.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned a lot about like your team and working with different crew members. Like, how important is that to get the right team member to work with you?
It's very important because these are long days, man. So, I mean, of course you want to get along with everybody, and sometimes you work people you don't really talk to, and that's fine. But you don't want like that one person that messes up the set.
Yeah.
That's like rude and like cocky and like, because it messes everything up, and no one, like, you want everyone like in love with the story that you're telling, and who's in it just the way you're in it. So it's always that, like, finding the right team members. And all my team members are people that I used to, that either my intern before or I've met them as students, and then we gave them opportunities. So
do you ever have someone on your team say they're not the very best at production, but they're really passionate about telling their story?
Yeah, all the time. I think a lot of my people, like, in the beginning are like that, and like I'll look at their work. Like if I hire somebody to be like a cam operator for me, and they're like pretty terrible, I'm like, man, that was terrible. Mm-hmm. But you're a cool dude, or you're a cool girl, and I could get you to where you need to be.
Yeah, so you would rather work with someone passionate about telling a story than someone like that doesn't really care about what you guys are talking about? Or
yeah, if they look at you as a stepping stone, and then maybe they could get an Emmy out of you, then that's when you're like, no, I'm good. But you could spot those people easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so my next question, I actually want to ask you more about your Filipino roots. So I noticed a lot on your website you work with a lot of things related to Filipino culture. Mm-hmm. So how important is that to you?
For me, like I said, it's very important because growing up, actually my favorite book of all time is a book called America's in the Heart. So it's about Filipino dudes that came to Stockton in the 20s, and they worked the farms and everything, and it's a true story about those first time Filipinos that came to America and then had to struggle so I could be sitting here at SF State, right? So when I read that book, it made me cry because I never knew anything about that. So I felt like, well, if I could do the same thing for my community, I can't make people cry, but if I could contribute to my community and other communities as well too, but if I could do that for mine, then even if it's like just some random restaurant down the street, just as long as I could still help out the community in that kind of way, because this is what I do. And at that time there wasn't many media Filipino people out there doing it, so I wanted to be able to be one of the people that could help be a voice for some of these stuff. Yeah.
Have you always wanted to do things related to Filipino culture?
No, man. I thought I was gonna work at MTV in the 90s. I was like, I'm going to New York right after this Filipino internship is done. I'm out of here. But then I learned so much at that job that I ended up staying for 20 years. And sometimes it's good to start at a small company or not a lesser known company, and then like work there and fail and keep failing and then get better. It took me like 10 years to just where I felt comfortable.
And are these the productions you enjoy the most, or are there other productions you have enjoyed the most doing? Like, what type of productions do you like doing the most?
It depends, because sometimes I get to do films. I think I like documentaries the best, actually. because you meet real people, and then you get to tell their story, and then you get to you're given that task to do a good job with their story, so you better not fail. So there is sometimes pressure, but if you're confident that you're gonna tell a good story, then that's what makes it fun. But there's others that are like interesting. Like there's one time I had to cover the Pope at the UN, and that was crazy. So and that was like,
yeah, you don't want to set up.
Yeah, but it was just interesting. I was like, wow, like I was in the UN, I was looking at the window, and the Pope was over there, all these world leaders, the president and everything. And I was like, wow, and I really said this, I was like, yeah, I'm just a kid from Ysip State, and I'm here at the UN, and the Pope I'm not even a Catholic either, but just just being here is crazy. And then there's another time, the Boston bombing happened, right? I'm not sure if you remember the Boston bombing. So that happened, and then I was watching on the news. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm about to go cover this thing tonight. And then my job flew me to Boston that same night. And then just walking around Boston, where is just all these like military dudes and cops and media. And the same thing, I was walking, and like everything was restricted, but we were all looking for this killer.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tension too.
Yeah, and you're like, wow. And again, I was walking around, I was like, I'm just a kid from Ysip State, and I'm here. That's pretty amazing. So and that makes me just grateful as I went through this program.
All right, well, that's everything you said was amazing, but I want to wrap up by saying, what are some pet peeves you have with working with people in the studio? Like, what's something people shouldn't do?
They shouldn't do? Be on their phones.
And the opposite, like what advice do you have for people working in studios or in the field?
In the field and in the studio, I think just if you're the audio dude for that day, be the best audio guy you can ever be. Audio is underrated, and people are always looking for audio people, and they get paid a lot of money. So be really good at audio. If you're the camera operator, then be a good camera operator, because it will show. And then sometimes you'll lose jobs because you're not. Basically, be good at every role you get.
Okay.
Yeah.
So any last advice on top of that?
I just want to say, listen to your teachers, because I had this one teacher named Connie. I was telling your teacher about this earlier, and I forgot what class it was. I think it was media. I don't remember, but he was so hard on me. And he's like, Jeremiah, you'll understand this later. You're going to be using when I'm teaching you. I was like, I don't think so, man. You're making me tell a story about, you made me take a picture of canned corn. I don't know what to do. What are you talking about? I took the picture. He's like, no, man, you're making it to a story. I was like, I did the best I can. He's like, watch, trust me, you're going to use this 10 years later. And then, or whatever, you're going to use this in your future. And then like 10 years later, I ran into this guy at the Emmys, because the Ysip State got awarded at the Emmys. I was like, yo, and it clicked to me at that time. I was like, yo, Connie, you remember me? He's like, yeah, I remember you. I was like, yo, everything you taught me, I use now, and I appreciate you, because I thought you were BSing the whole time, and I thought you were just being mean, because you were mean, but you're cool, and I like you, and I got these Emmys because of you, man, so thank you. Or the stuff you taught. So listen to your teachers. They've been through it. They've been through the struggle. It's a hard industry to be in. It destroys you physically, mentally, spiritually, but if you can last, then you'll succeed.
Well, great. That's great advice. And I want to thank you for being here one last time.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, this has been Diego Torres and Jeremiah Ysip, and thanks for watching.